to our next session here at day 2 of the inaugural Dubai FinTech Summit. And what a great honor it is to be sitting with His Excellency to talk about our next topic, which of course is on how governments and regulators can be the innovators of today. So thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for inviting me. And I would like to thank the IFC for this kind invitation and participate in this interesting event. I think as a regulator, the biggest challenge for me and through my experience was how to overcome I would call it the intellectual barrier. Conventional regulators think in a standard format, in a very regimental way. That means we have to understand the risks, we have to make sure and all the mitigating factors are in place before we feel comfortable that there is nothing will disturb the financial stability. So back in 2017, when we started looking at fintech and virtual assets, it was a big mental challenge for us in Bahrain as regulators. And I think the moment we realized, this is going to be a big thing for us. Financial sector in Bahrain represents the largest non-oil sector in the economy. That means what happens in the financial sector has a wider impact on the country. So we took the plunge, we made the decision, and we have to entertain these new ideas. And I think the second thing that I did in support with my team is to remove the traditional supervisors from the fintech side, so that the fintech people will, or those who will be in charge in fintech will not be influenced by the traditional and conventional thinking of the regulators. And this worked very well. We started with a small group, very young, talented, driven. And I think since then, we have covered a lot of grounds, and we never looked back. And I think we made this impact not only in Bahrain, but across the region. After we started the sandbox, we attracted almost 100 companies from across the globe, because at that time, we did not insist that the companies that will test their solutions in our sandbox should be local and should be go through our licensing process to be domestic operators. So we had companies from North America, Africa, India, the Middle East, and some of the local companies that started their solutions, I think, graduated. And I'm very proud to say, a few of them are now operating across the region. One of them is Tarabut in the open banking. The other one is Rain, which is a crypto exchange platform. And since then, we have evolved our regulatory framework, evolved our rule book, also evolved to cater for the fintech. So we see our role as enabler. We work with the prospective companies in order to look into their solutions and to help them with navigate our rule book. The thing that concerns me as a result of this experience is one thing, is that as much as we would like to be flexible, progressive, forward-looking, we would like also the industry to respect the regulations, the usual concerns for any regulators, which is good corporate governance, proper risk management, compliance, and protecting the consumers. I think this is what I look at when we deal with all these fintech solutions. We want to ensure that these qualities are there. And I hope that the industry will understand, regardless of how welcoming we are, that at the back of our mind is these values. And these values are there, I think, to give credibility to the industry if they are going to observe them, not only locally, but regionally and globally.
Thank you so much for setting the scene in the Kingdom of Bahrain. Tell us a little bit more about some of the collaboration and shared experiences then that you feel are crucial for this sector as well. And what does the regulation around cross-border collaboration and testing look like today as well?
Let me give you an example because we worked closely with our fintechs. One of them is, which started very earlier than 2017, but started as the switch operator for the ATMs and then evolved to be the payment gateways. And in 2015, when the central bank decided to have an instant payment solution for the country, we worked with Benefit, which is the company that operates our instant payments. And I think the design that we imposed on the company helped us in making the solution very easy, available 24/7, and widely used by the population. And I think the message that went to them, don't give me a solution that can be used by the highly sophisticated IT people. Give me something that my mother, my grandmother, the baker, the taxi driver, the layman in the streets who can use it like he's using his phone. And I think now, after all the development that we have introduced with them, I can say happily, the solution is available now in almost every single user of a mobile phone, cheap, widely available, reliable, and I think we are building on the solutions and offering and add-on services. Number two, when we introduced open banking, it was a very new concept. It was new to us as a regulator, as much as to the industry. And we learned from experimenting with this, what are the pain points within this arrangement. And throughout this process, started in 2018, and we understood, there are areas that we need to improve on it. For instance, the quality of data that should go into this pipeline. The central bank took upon itself to work with the point of sale providers, the banks, in order to refine the data that goes through this. Because when you have a point of sale in a mall, for instance, you cannot identify that the purchases is for groceries or for cosmetics or for clothes. So we work on this in order to provide a quality of data that will help the companies that will offer the service to their customer. So the customer at the end of the day will receive a better service, he will have a better view on what his purchases, and so on. So this is how we help the industry work and improve on their work.
Now, you spoke very much about regulation and regulators and their role in the fintech space. So tell us a little bit more about setting the standard, good conduct, governance. How should regulators govern this space correctly?
Look, يعني all of these are, I would call it common sense. يعني these few items that I mentioned earlier are probably in the mind of every regulator. And the idea is these will be helpful in sustaining the business. يعني we went through, يعني, as a regulator across the globe, through many crises. And each crisis gives us a lot of lessons. And most of these lessons will يعني, more or less surrounding the ideas that I mentioned. You know, good corporate governance, the role of the boards, the role of management, good conduct. You know, these are basic things in the industry. If you don't observe them, you will end up facing problems. And I think the recent incidents that we have, يعني, everybody is aware of, in the virtual assets, in the crypto, يعني, reflect this malpractice. And I hope that the industry, those who are involved in this, will rise up to appreciate that proper conduct, proper good governance, and compliance will help them maintain their business.
So what would you say are the biggest challenges that you've had to go through at the central bank when it comes to regulation, collaboration, and especially these new models, these new evolved business models such as decentralized finance? How do you navigate these continuously emerging trends?
No, I honestly, يعني, still go to sleep at night wondering, you know, whether we did enough to put in place the right framework, يعني, not to be too restrictive, so it will stifle the innovation and the growth of the business, but not too lax in order to have gaps that will create problem. Because at the end of the day, if there are any problems, it will damage the credibility of the regulators. يعني, there is a diverse view now among regulators on how to regulate fintechs, especially the virtual assets. So any incidents will create a credibility issue. And we keep monitoring, we keep refining, interacting with the industry so that we ensure, you know, there is a safe operating environment. I know it is a big challenge, but this is a challenge that we have to go through, because without this interactive dialogue with the industry, with the concerned experts, I think we will fail to put the right calibration in place.
So it's more about safety than anything else, really.
Safety, safe operating environment, protection of consumers. This is very important. And AML, anti-money laundering. You know, there is a lot of activities that could penetrate these new platforms, and we want to make sure and to work with all the interested party on this in order to ensure that the onboarding process is proper, because all the onboarding is digital. And we need to ensure, you know, this onboarding process follow through a proper set of procedures in order to avoid any mishaps.
So what is the way forward? Do you think more of a regulatory approach is needed, a more strict approach, or does it need to be more flexible? Where is that happy medium?
I think it should work on both sides. The regulator should keep refining their rules, their ability to understand the technology involved, the practices, and the business use. At the same time, I would say, the onus is on the industry itself to shape up, to behave in a manner that will resonate well to the consumers as well as to the regulators. And I would put more weight to the practices by the industry that at this critical moment and after so many mishaps, it is important for the survival of this industry to behave on that in a proper fashion.
I mean, you spoke very much about the regulatory sandbox, which you initiated in Bahrain. Is there any other sort of innovation in the pipeline you'd like to make us aware of today?
No, we are very much focused now on two areas: improving the payment and settlement, and building on what we have, because it has been very effective. Now we have expanded our licenses to include PSPs. So the idea is to address financial inclusion from one point, because in Bahrain, for instance, every Bahraini citizen has a bank account, but we have an issue with the guest workers. Not all of them have bank accounts. So the banks are not really interested to entertain the low-income groups. So we have to provide a type of license that will be able to offer some sort of a digital solution to this group. So we are expanding on offering digital wallets and payment solutions. We have interest now from the telecoms and the likes. They are very much involved now on this. We have few of them beyond, for instance, STC, Zain. They are moving ahead with their solution on this. And the other one is to build on the banking and the banking finance, open banking into open finance. We are working with the government to open up all the government data through APIs in order to complete the infrastructure of flowing of data within a safe, conducive environment.
We just have about a minute left. So I'd like your final remarks and maybe the sort of key message you'd like our audience to go away with today when it comes to regulators and governments becoming the innovators today. I think
we are, in the region, we are much better than 5 years ago. The regulators are more receptive. I think DIFC is leading this also. The conventional regulators are now more receptive to fintechs. They are becoming more flexible. I think as we go through success stories, as we have more of the operators or the fintech companies that bring good solutions to problems that we have, that the traditional businesses are not able to offer, this gives more comfortable or more comfort to the community, to the consumers, and to the regulators. And I think we are, in Bahrain, we are very much forward-looking, progressive, and open mind, because we believe in continue the tradition of the regulators in Bahrain and leading the new ideas into our economy.
We cannot thank you enough, Your Excellency, for joining us here today. Thank you for sharing so openly with us as well. Thank you so much. Brilliant conversation.